been delayed due to bathroom sinks and toilets breaking during shipment. Not just once, but twice.
There were a series of unfortunate events. Number one, there was supposed to have the toilets, the special toilets. They got broken. Mine went in shipping. My information is they will send back to all the new ones, and then the other ones came back and they sent back the same broken ones. So my information, you see, and a lot.
But here's the truth. The sinks and toilets designed for prison facilities are made of stainless steel, built to withstand extreme conditions and nearly impossible to break in transit. The Prime Minister's claim doesn't add up. This project was initially estimated to cost $1.5 million. Somehow, that budget tripled to $4.5 million. And now there are reports that the costs have spiraled even higher. With every delay and excuse, taxpayers are forced to bear the burden of rising costs, while the government dodges accountability. Why isn't Prime Minister Pierre giving the people the truth about what's really causing the delays and escalating the costs? St. Lucia deserves a leader who takes responsibility, not one who resorts to dubious excuses. Our country demands transparency and honesty, not stories that simply don't hold water.
In 2019, the Alan Chasney-led United Workers' Party took decisive action to address the healthcare challenges faced by St. Lucians. The UWP secured a US $20 million loan from the World Bank under the Health Systems Strengthening Project. Out of this loan, US $5.5 million was specifically allocated to establish
Good morning and welcome to this week's United Workers' Party press briefing. And I wish to welcome those of you who are viewing via live stream, whether in St. Lucia, anywhere in the region, and especially those of you in the diaspora. As we know, you always tune in on a weekly basis. I want to welcome our presenters today. And today we have Senator Harold Stanislas, who is the endorsed candidate for Soufrière-Fonséjac. We have Tommy Descartes, who is the endorsed candidate for Castries South, and Mr. Guy Joseph, who is the deputy political leader and endorsed candidate for Castries Southeast. And today we are going to tackle a couple subjects that are to do with the 7 SOS, that is the 7 policies disclosed by the leader of the opposition during the last mass meeting in Micoud, and we'll focus in particular on 2 of those policies, 2 of the 7 policies, and we will deal with 2 that has to do with cost of living. So in fact it is 3. So 2 that has to do with cost of living, namely the removal of the 2.5% levy that we were fooled into thinking would have gone towards health, the improvement of health and security. If anything, health has deteriorated, security has gotten worse, our national security has become a nightmare. And of course, the gas prices, as we are aware, our government has been extorting the people of St. Lucia for the last 4 years, given the fact that the price of oil on the international market has been extremely low, but our price of fuel at the pumps remains exorbitant. And we also are going to look at another area that is pertinent to education, and that is the policy to remove tuition at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, making education free at that tertiary level for all St. Lucians who attend the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. So to start our presentations this morning, I would like to call on Senator Harold Stanislas, who will be speaking specifically on the removal of the 2.5% and the lowering of our gas prices. Senator Stanislas.
Thank you very much, Spider. Fellow St. Lucians at home, viewing, supporters in the diaspora, members of the media, a pleasant good morning. I stand before you today not just as a political representative, but as a fellow St. Lucian. I walk the same streets you do. I shop in the same stores. I see and feel the same struggle that has become our daily reality. And the reality is this: the cost of living has climbed beyond what ordinary families, workers, and businesses can bear. Parents are struggling to put food on the table. Workers are given more hours but getting less in return. Small businesses, the lifeblood of our economy, are being squeezed until they can barely breathe. This is not just an economic challenge, it is a national crisis. Let us begin with the 2.5% levy imposed on every hardworking citizen of this nation. When this tax was introduced, we were told this additional burden on our shoulders would revolutionize health and security services in this country. The government promised modern hospitals, fully stocked pharmacies, and safe communities where our children could play without fear. We were not surprised to discover that was a lie. In fact, this tax was actually a requirement for the government to secure a $200 million loan from the World Bank. But what is the reality today? Our hospitals remain under-resourced, with patients lying on stretchers in corridors. Essential medications often out of stock in hospital pharmacies, forcing families to choose between buying medicine and buying food. Shortages of nurses, doctors, critical staff, and essential supplies. Even the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association has stated that this is the worst healthcare situation they have encountered in over 20 years. Our communities still echo with safety concerns, with many afraid to walk their own neighborhoods after dark. Our young men are now reduced to merely statistics. To date, over $60 million has been collected from you, the people. $60 million extracted from your paychecks, your businesses, your savings. That's not just a number. That's school uniforms that couldn't be bought, house repairs that had to wait, small businesses that couldn't expand. And yet, where is the progress? Where are the improvements in healthcare that would justify a mother having less money for her children's lunch? Where is the enhanced security that would explain why a pensioner must cut back on their medication? The truth is painful, but must be spoken. This levy has become nothing more than another tax grab, another way to squeeze an already struggling population while delivering nothing in return. Perhaps, most visibly, the cost of fuel continues to drain the pockets of ordinary St. Lucians. Today, we pay the highest prices for gasoline and diesel in the OECS. Think about what this means in real terms. For a minibus operator, and we all know these hard-working men and women who wake before dawn to serve our communities, the high fuel prices mean hundreds of dollars lost every month, thousands every year. I spoke to a Sufra minibus operator who shared with me that he now spends $430 more per month on fuel than he did 4.5 years ago. That is $5,160 a year. Money that could have paid for his daughter's CXC examinations, fixed the leaking roof on his house, or been saved for emergencies. This annual savings of $5,160 equates to a savings of over $25,000 in 5 years. That money could be used as a down payment on a new 14-seater bus for this minibus operator so that he could change his bus every 5 years. But it doesn't stop there. Every business that delivers goods, every farmer who transports produce, and every St. Lucian who drives to work, they all feel this burden. The fuel burden trickles down like a toxic stream into every aspect of our economy, raising the price of food, goods, services, and transportation. When the bakery's delivery costs go up, your bread costs more. When the farmer pays higher transport costs, vegetables become more expensive. At the end of the chain, the family at the dinner table pays more for everything. This SLP economic policy brings nothing more than pain, pressure, and poverty for our people. I think of the mother in Soufrière, tears in her eyes, as she explained how she can only afford to buy chicken backs, how she waters down the milk to make it last longer, how she tells her children, maybe next week, when they ask for a simple treat. This is not the St. Lucia we want for our families. I think of the father in Font Saint-Jacques, who shared with me that he works harder than ever, but is falling further behind. Despite working 6 days a week, sometimes taking extra jobs on Sundays, he can barely keep the lights on and food on the table. His pride is wounded, his spirit strained, as he observes how his hard work no longer secures a decent life for his family. And what of our elderly? Those who build this nation with their sweat and sacrifice now find their pensions worth less each month as prices soar. They worked their entire lives believing they would have dignity in their golden years, only to find themselves choosing between medication and meals. Let me be clear. A government that extracts more and more from its people without delivering results is a government that has lost its way. Leadership is not about making excuses or shifting blame. Leadership is about taking responsibility and taking action. We've heard the excuses: imported inflation, supply chain issues, external factors beyond control. Yes, these challenges exist, but other nations in our region have managed to shield their citizens better. Other governments have found ways to cushion the blow, to protect the most vulnerable, to ensure that economic hardship doesn't translate into human suffering. The question we must ask is simple. If other small island nations can do better, why can't we? The answer is equally simple. It's a matter of priorities and political will. The United Workers' Party has not come to you with complaints alone. We come with solutions, with a clear and actionable plan to address these crises. We have made it plain, and I repeat these commitments to you today. First, a United Workers' Party government, when elected, will remove the burdensome 2.5% levy, putting money back in your pockets and wallets. This isn't just a campaign promise, it's a moral imperative. No government should tax its people into poverty while failing to deliver the services those taxes supposedly fund. Second, we will reduce the price of fuel within 30 days of returning to office. This is not pie in the sky thinking. A United Workers' Party government will review the fuel tax structure with a view to bringing immediate relief to transport operators, businesses, and families alike. St. Lucians deserve leadership that understands the struggles and acts decisively to bring relief. You deserve a government that sees you not as sources of revenue, but as partners in building a prosperous nation. You deserve leaders who lost sleep over your struggles, not those who seem oblivious to them. The time has come to choose a government that puts people before politics, solutions before slogans, and relief before rhetoric. The cost of living crisis must end. Families cannot wait. Workers cannot wait. Our elderly cannot wait. We can't stay silent as our people suffer or remain passive while our economy crumbles under the weight of this Prime Minister's misguided policies. To my fellow St. Lucians, your struggle is seen, your pain is felt, and your voices are heard. Better days are within reach, but we must reach for them together. The cost of living crisis is a challenge we can overcome with the right leadership and right policies. Together, we will restore affordability, rebuild an economy for all, ensure no St. Lucian chooses between necessities, and our children inherit a nation of opportunities. The decision is in our hands. The moment is now. Let us choose relief over suffering, action over excuses, and a future where every St. Lucian has the chance to thrive. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Harold Stanislas, for your presentation on the 2.5% levy that was imposed on us, which will be removed by the incoming United Workers' Party administration come the next general election. And of course, the extortion at the fuel pumps with the high gas prices that we have been experiencing since 2021 upon assuming office by the St. Lucia Labour Party. I would like now to call on the endorsed candidate for Castries South, Mr. Tommy Descartes, who will be addressing us on the policy position of the United Workers' Party to remove the tuition fees and to make education at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College free for all students. Mr. Descartes.
Thank you very much, Spider, and good morning to our viewing audience, those here in St. Lucia and those tuning from abroad. This morning, I'm indeed elated to speak on the recent policy decision by the United Workers' Party Policy Committee to provide free tuition for all students attending the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. But before doing so, permit me a few minutes to categorically debunk the false narratives that have been peddled by the opposition, which claims that the United Workers' Party reduced the subvention to the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College during its last administration. St. Lucia, nothing could be further from the truth. Here are the facts. In 2019, the UWP increased the recurrent grant and contribution to the Southall Lewis Community College by 9.6% from 15.7 million to 17.2 million, an increase equivalent to 1.5 million. In 2020, a further increase of $331,664 was granted, bringing the total allocation to $17.5 million. Overall, between 2019 and 2021, the Southall Lewis Community College received a total of $1.83 million in additional funding under a UWP administration. More recently, the subvention was raised by 4.4% in fiscal year 2023-2024 to $18.3 million, and by another 6% in fiscal year 2025-2026 to $19.3 million, a cumulative increase of $1.78 million between 2023 and 2026 under a Labour administration. The truth of the matter is that both governments have recognized the need to increase the allocation to the Southall Lewis Community College. The question, however, is this enough? As a country, we must engage in a frank and honest discussion about the budgetary allocations for the premier tertiary learning institution in St. Lucia. A tertiary institution, may I remind you, was established by the United Workers' Party in 1985. While successive administrations have steadily increased subventions to Southall Lewis, but the real question is whether an incremental adjustment is enough. We in the United Workers' Party say no. In our view, free tuition, costed at approximately $6 million annually, is a bold and sensible point of departure, ensuring equitable access to higher education and investing directly in our nation's human capital and our nation's youth. This injection of $6 million will immediately increase the subvention to Southall Lewis Community College from $19.3 million to $25.3 million, equivalent to 31.1% increase. This allocation will contribute substantially to closing the persistent funding gap for operations of the Southall Lewis Community College. This translates to an increase in the budgetary allocation per student at Southall Lewis from $9,771 to an estimated $12,770. Yes, the UWP government will invest $12,770 annually to every student that is pursuing higher education at Southall Lewis. And over the 2-year period, a UW government will be investing $25,555 for every student pursuing higher education at the Southall Lewis Community College. This policy will directly benefit the over 400 students attending the Division of Arts and General Studies, the estimated 1,000 students pursuing studies at the Division of Technical Education and Management Studies, the over 160 aspiring teachers, students pursuing their first 2 years of bachelor's degree with the University of West Indies distance program in collaboration with Southall Lewis, and students pursuing agricultural studies. The policy will directly benefit over 1,900 students, girls, boys, from poor and vulnerable households. These are the future of our country. For each student, the government is committed to a total of $6,000 in tuition subsidy over the 2 years of study at Southall Lewis Community College. No longer will a young lady who passed all her CSEC subjects have to abandon a dream of attending Southall Lewis Community College due to lack of economic access. No longer will our young men be forced to drop out of Southall Lewis because their parents cannot afford to pay their tuition. And no longer will parents and students be subject to the indignity of begging a parliamentary rep to pay for their sons and daughters' tuition to attend Southall Lewis Community College. This policy is anchored in a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which views education as a human right, one that should be universal, accessible, and available. It is a practical and realizable step forward towards equipping our students with the foundation needed to pursue a university education. The policy will contribute to enhancing and deepening our human capital, reducing the labor market skills mismatch, and optimizing the use of the most precious resource, our children, our youth. Importantly, it will also reduce youth engagement in deviant and risky behavior and directly contribute to lowering the rates of youth involvement in criminal activity. St. Lucia is at a turning point. Our country is at a critical demographic transition. Birth rates are down, life expectancy is up. If we do not equip our youth now, we will not have the human capital to drive our economy in the future. And let us be clear, youth are not just the beneficiary of this policy, they are the lifeblood of our pension system and our national economy. Every graduate who secures a good job, pays their contributions, and invests in their future is also securing the retirement of their parent and grandparents. Without a well-trained, well-employed youth population, our social security fund will collapse. The IMF has already warned us the pension fund could be depleted by 2051 if nothing is done. This was a warning sounded loud and clear by the IMF in the 2024 IMF Article 4 report, but ignored by the Prime Minister, who, when asked about the fate of the NIC, arrogantly declared that he would be dead by the time this became a national crisis. Such reckless disregard for the future of our workers, pensioners, can only be described as a moral hazard of the highest order. A leader gambling with the future of its country because he believes he won't be around to face the consequences. On the contrary, UW is taking action now that will sustainably secure the future of our social security program. When we invest in free tuition at SALCC, we are not just helping a student get a diploma, we are strengthening the tax base, safeguarding pensions, and protecting the dignity of every St. Lucian who has worked hard all of their lives. As a result, it is imperative that we train and invest our youth so they become functioning, productive, and upstanding members of our society. This policy is not politics. It is an investment in our children, an investment in our future, an investment in a sustainable St. Lucia. This policy is about restoring dignity in public policy and dignity in politics. It is about preparing St. Lucia to become a knowledge economy and positioning the nation to seize the jobs of the future. I am certain that Sir Arthur Lewis, the father of development economics, who stated that the fundamental cure for poverty is not money, but rather knowledge, end of quote, would be proud to know that students attending a tertiary institution named after him would not be denied access because of economic hardship. Free tuition at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College is not just a policy, it is a covenant with the youth of this nation. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Descartes. And now, to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, I will call on the Deputy Political Leader of the United Workers' Party and endorsed candidate for Castries South East, Mr. Guy Joseph, who will summarize all what you have heard here and will present some of it to you in the Creole language. Mr. Guy Joseph.
Thank you very much, Mr. Montut, and a pleasant good morning to all our viewers, listeners, the media, and persons in the diaspora. I join the voices of my colleagues who have gone before me to state in very clear and uncertain terms, no uncertain terms, that where we are as a country today, we are not in a good place. It is evident that we have a government who's lost their way, if they ever had their way, and they are clueless about how this economy is functioning and how it is impacting the lives of the average St. Lucian. Now, je voulais prendre un petit temps pour expliquer yon débat nous j'attends bon matin parce que il est important pour nous comprendre. Dans le gouvernement d'où yo ka travaille en faveur ou ni pour ça pas en parole la yo dia mais à dans action yo ka point. Le yo di yo te kay faire la vie plus aisée et que yo te kay me moun Saint-Lucie avant tout l'autre bail. Si vous écoutez Premier ministre là, il parlait about Monsieur Girard en Aslawi. Il parle de Monsieur Girard pour travailler by ces moun. Il parle pour garder about l'enterrer ces moun en Aslawi. Il dit il n'est pour gagner élection en by Leba, pas by ces moun. Ça c'est une bataille pour Leba. Ça pas une bataille pour Saint-Lucie. Les parti pas mêlé avec moun Saint-Lucie. Qui manière premier ministre ça dit un homme pour 4 années moun qui vote bali pas ouais et qui pas de garder ay ranger bay ces moun na Aslawi Kanawi. Il dit allez là. Travail wed, fait ça on pour faire pour gagner élection bay Leba. The United Workers' Party is not about winning elections for UWP. It is about winning elections for the people, for the betterment of St. Lucia. Ek an gade sa Monsieur Harold parle about because Premier Ministre Philippe J. Pierre dit nous l'ait mené 2% et demi levy, ça y Health and Security Levy. Now, isa kouye yon bel non, but ça c'est un taxe. Un taxe neuf Philippe J. Pierre vini, il fait une chose by Saint-Lucie, et il dit c'est pour te aider wanger situation santé et crime en pays. Yon de mois après ça, il vini en parlement, et qui déclare that 2% et demi levy a été mis là. Ça c'est parce que yo te fait un agreement pour te prendre un loan from a bank à la terre. That yo te ni pour montrer côté l'argent qui sorti. So ça c'était une chance that premier ministre l'a fait. Il connaît nous cette ici pour faire nous quoi l'argent était kamassé. C'est pour aider ou anger santé et pour aider ou anger situation crime là. Content from Monsieur Harold bon matin. Yo ja gouvernement Leba ja amassé en haut 66 millions de dollars. 66 million dollars. Dans Health and Security Levy. Et autant from Monsieur Harold, et pas lui seulement, tout le monde qui allait l'hôpital ka dit situation l'hôpital pas jamais autant mauvais qu'on y est en Saint-Lucie Jordia. Qui manière nous joindre kon nous là? Pas même fil pour coude en moun là yo faire l'opération ou même ni pour gagner fil ek mené à l'hôpital là pour yo coude. Délai pas même en Panadol ou ka joindre. C'est jour ça moins tant peut-être la peine de Panadol mais yo ba yon. C'est nos là ex docteur qui fait kon yo pe, c'est pas c'est nos là ex docteur qui problème nous. Outan le bate fan gauche le yo mene Damian Greaves a tué pour manager l'hôpital là. Ko Damian Hordia. Qui dernière fois outan from Monsieur Greaves about situation l'hôpital là et qui manière bay javini primaire So maintenant, non mou ka paye combien $1000 par mois pour manager l'hôpital là. Ek situation l'hôpital là plus mauvais aujourd'hui passé avant était là. Ek c'est pas Flambeau qui dit ça, c'est docteur ek nurse qui ka travaille en Saint-Lucie pour en haut 20 l'année. C'est yo qui vini ensemble ek yo dit pièce temps en la vie Saint-Lucie. Situation santé pas jamais autant mauvais. So commissaire Herod expliqué ba si nous ka paye nous ja paye $66 millions et qui pas ka travailler en faveur nous partisans Flambeau Japon mettre Saint-Lucien dat nous ka tirer 2% et demi Health and Security Levy kon sa gouvernement Flambeau en toué en pouvoir. Ça mine. Tout gens Saint-Lucie qui te paye 2.5 là. Monsieur Herod touche yon de ti côté. So si ou divise $66 millions nous japé. Kachile si tout l'argent ça a été en poche ou Saint-Lucie. Because nous poko bénéfice en rien. Bay plus mauvais l'hôpital là. Qui plus mauvais en pays. So pour qui ça nous ka payer l'argent ça? So partisan Flambeau en bas conduite monsieur Alan Chasney ka pour mettre Jean Saint-Lucie dat les nous entoué nous ka tirer 2% et demi Health and Security Levy dat Philippe J. Pierre et gouvernement Leba mette à sous Jean Saint-Lucie. Aussi, M. Herod parlait about Puy-Gas en Saint-Lucie. Où savent les Flambeaux en pouvoir? Plus haut Puy-Gas suivi, c'est $12 et 95 sous. $13.95. Now pour jeunesse qui voulait copan parole créole. 80 c'est 80. Bon la panne en manière on a dit 90 en pas 3. So on a dit 90 which is 80 plus 10. Et si vous pouvez 95 là, ou ka dit 95 because 15 c'est 15. So là ou add 80 et 15. C'est comme ça ou ka expliquer limo en créole. So en bas gouvernement Flambeau plus haut puis gars suivi. Et ou changer les bafan chay des zones là nous teme $1 et 50 cents ça sous puis gaz pour manger chimé en Saint-Lucie. Même si nous teme $1 et 50 cents puis gaz là pas jamais monté en haut $12 et 95 sous $13.95. Gouvernement Lebantou et pas oublier premier puits yo mene gaz c'est $17 et 95 sous. $17.95. The highest price. Asou $18 ou te ka hen 4 nouevier pour yon gallon gaz. Ça c'est méchanceté. Ça c'est cruauté. That Labour Party fait Jean Saint-Lucie. Et commissaire Herod dit yon bus driver soufouye présentement kon Labour Party ni ek tan pou yo me gas la yo kite $16 et 50 cents pour un chaitan. Et den kon élection ka vini, monsieur Philippe J. Pierre dit il met dat il pa kay monter en haut $16 mais il poko descendre en bas $16. So ite ça just di moun il met puis gas fixe permanent à $12. Now moi vle Jean Saint-Lucie kopan. loi qui a gouverné Puy-Guias en Sainte-Lucie, c'est tous les 21 jours, every 21 days, ou supposé review pour ya, si l'on esprit a monté en la terre, et bien est il descend, et ou supposé adjust pour ya en Sainte-Lucie, si l'on monté, et bien descend. Dis-moi, combien de cours Puy-Guias a changé à sous maquette la terre? Et juste toujours, Monsieur Philippe J. Pierre et gouvernement Leba poko adjust Puy-Guias en descendant pour Sainte-Lucie. Comme Monsieur Harold dit encore, c'est en Sainte-Lucie Puy-Guias plus cher en tout pays en OICS là, et moins l'idée en whole CARICOM, c'est nous qui ni gaz plus cher. Pour qui raison les bas parti ka fait moun qualité méchanceté ça en Sainte-Lucie. Yon bus driver soufouye commissaire Harold. Si c'est gouvernement flambeau qui était là et puis gaz te manière était en bas gouvernement flambeau, yon bus driver te kay sauvé en haut $5,000 pour l'année. Kachile ça. C'est just à sous puis gas. Nous pouvons parler about 2.5% levy encore. Et toutes ces puis à année cause pour monter. Kachile un moun qui ka bâti en kay qui ka coûté $200,000. Et 2.5% levy à sous ça. Papier terre pour payer avocat. Tout bagay. So, les gouvernements flambeau dit, les nous entrons en gouvernement, nous kay baisser prix gaz, ça mine chauffeur pas kay payer autant qu'on yo ka payer en bas gouvernement Leba. Now, nous pas ka faire faux pour mettre. Depuis puis gaz souhaité manière à sous maquette la terre et qui pas monter en haut en certain puis obligé descendre en bas flambeau. Aussi les nous tirer 2.5% levy ça kay mener un bon soulagement by toute famille en Sainte-Lucie. So moi vle ou comprendre ça bien. Bon, on aller à sous ça monsieur Tommy parler about candidat pour side Cicéron Castries South. On garde ça bien. Les bas partis a fait manchons encore qu'on l'habitude yo. Yo dit bay moun dat partisan flambeau te tiye à sous l'argent. Ça a fait Louis Community College te ka joindre. Ça c'est un gros manchons. Now, on est pour demander question. Pour qui raison kay menti about an bay that tout moun sa ouais ça sans manchons. Because c'est un livre budget là c'est là où ka aller et ou ka ouais qui l'argent qui alloqué pour qui département. So, monsieur Tommy espitié ban nous dat gouvernement partisan flambeau en bas Alan Chasney il hausse amont l'argent il te ka bay ça à faire tous les l'année. C'est il pas baissé, il hausse. Now moi vle poser un petit moment pour 10 moun. Là où les bac a vinn di oh nous kay payer teacher pourtant holiday. Les bac qui te dou bout payer teacher tant holiday. Et moi vle moun qui pli gwan en Sainte-Lucie remind se jeunesse là. Dans les ou te ka le teachers college en bas gouvernement flambeau ou te ka hen salaire. Laisse John tan gouvernement. Là ou te aller pour venir en qualified teacher sa Alpha Louis Community College, tant ça en branch teachers college là ou te hypothèse sa afa Louis ou sa vite Mon Technical College at the time, écoute ni Teachers Division. Teacher te ka hen salè yo, pa di tan yo te ka l'école. C'est les bas qui vini ek tiye sa. Les bas ja fait Jean Saint-Lissi en chay méchanceté, expressement public servants, ou changer police te en bas pension gouvernement. Depuis te fait 20 l'année qu'on fireman, et ben police ou te sa retire ou ka joindre amont l'argent et tous les mois ou ka joindre pension. Imaginez Kenny Anthony avec Labour Party avec Philippe J. Pierre, yo changé loi ça en 2003. Et yo tiye tout moun en bas pension gouvernement et yo voye yo ay paye NIC. So imagine c'est 65 years ou ka retire. Bon di man bay. La police had ni 65 years. Qui vole sa couide? Hein? Pour qui raison ou met ça pour l'âge ça? Qui man ek kalte kwim le, kalte bay la ka fait la, kalte travail la ou ka ouvre police fait à présent. Ou quoi c'est nom ça en l'âge ça? Ek le ba parti Jacques a parlé about peut-être yo kay ni pour rosser pour ya. Pas pour ya l'âge là pour NIC. Écoutant monsieur Tommy Diou. Le premier ministre Diou il ka une temps mort avant certain bail fait. So accordé il m'a dit c'est ça il dit mais ça ka imply c'est mamele mai la pour ça. Vous ça imaginer ça. So nous na premier ministre Saint-Lissi celle ça il concerné about c'est pour les bas parti gain. Pas mêler ça qui veut Saint-Lissi après il mort. Nous tenons bon premier ministre en ce John Compton. Et monsieur Stevenson King dérespecter ce John pour 17 lycéens. Dans les garder Philippe J. Pierre, ouais Philippe J. Pierre c'est un homme comme ce John. Ce John te kay jamais dit pas mais il a kay mort. Laisse John well les bas parti a ka détruit cette lycée. So John Villiers election at the age of 81 pour il dit pour sauver cette lycée et il dit ben moi-même il dit gars maman do pour venir en politics ben moi c'est by hot c'est jeunesse là because moi travaille wed pour bâtir pays ça et moi les baka détruit. Et Philippe J. Pierre a continué en même travail là pour détruire cette lycée. So, là nous parler ba. C'est pas man chose nous ka vindou. C'est pas moi qui dit Philippe J. Pierre pour dire ça. So, gouvernement flambeau, et moi savais yo kay point yo kay try tourner, so ngay espitier yan pas trois ba. Monsieur Descartes dit that à peu près $25,000 pour 2 l'année, c'est ça gouvernement qui paye by chaque maman. Na ou pe di moi bat maman ka oni paye $3,000 à Brésil. Moi vle ko pan ni bien. Gouvernement Jacques mette $19 millions en ça affaire. Ça c'est pour chen pour maman l'école plus bas. Les nous met en lot $6 millions pour mener $25 millions. Ça mine pièce par an en Saint-Lissi. Pas kay ni pour payer pièce l'argent encore pour ma mayo. Ça c'est tuition fees. Yo pas kay ni pour payer ça pour ma mayo aller ça affaire. Ou pas kay pour ay beg pièce politician. Ou pas kay ni pour aller coin à sous la porte les bas et ben flambeau. Ça c'est on right that tout mamay qui passe examination yo joine ces subject là yo supposé joine yo kay ça attendez ça affaire. Now, Saint-Lucie, jeunesse, tout le monde, on prend un petit temps pour comprendre ça, ça mine. Parce que là, dans chaque monde qui from famille, qui yo en pauvreté, yo pas fait assez l'argent. Moi, ça do about ça. Pourtant, moi, été as representative, moi, aidé en haut 300 mamay attendez sans affaire Louis. So, moi, savent ça radou là. Et même si mon gouvernement, pour l'année l'école ça qui commence là, moi, j'ai aidé à peu près 10 mamay pour payer tuition pour aller sans affaire. Because si yo pas te joindre India, yo pas ça aller. Gouvernement flambeau pas passer policy that c'est only moun flambeau ka bénéfice. Là ou fait ça, personne pas amande ou qui moun ou vote bay, qui moun ou pas vote bay, personne pas apporter anti-parole pour di parliamentary rep là et ça a pas te vote ban nous non. Ça pas fait. Les nous tirer 2.5% levy a, les wale Massy et ben wale Queensland et ben wale Total Construction, yo pas amande ou qui moun ou vote bay, nous ka tirer bay tout cette lycéen. C'est comme ça gouvernement ka manager, il ka bénéfice pays. So all St. Lucians, all parents will benefit directly. All the young people and some of you who left school, you had the qualifications, but you couldn't go to SAFA because you could not afford. You can now think of when UWP wins, you can apply again because la pan large pour do top grand pa high SAFA. You can apply even if you have left school a few years ago. And the government will pay your tuition. That is what the policies of the United Workers Party is doing. Ek mwen vle do, c'est just deux nous ka parler about, trois nous ka parler about Jordi Yousaf. Baisser prix gaz, tirer 2% et 10 000 levy et tirer tout l'argent ni pour payer pour attendre ça. Gardez juste trois bail ça. Qualité bénéfice là, il kay mené avec soulagement, il kay mené bay famille en Saint-Lucie. Now là nan chay lot bay nou kay fè ou sav. Nou just ka ba ou yonde bay. Now, question tout moun ni an l'idée yo a. Et question yo ka mande a. Côté flambeau kay prend l'argent pour faire ces bay ça. Moi, mais yo mande question ça. Where will the money come from? Our economic policies is not $5 can block a hole. Your $5 Prime Minister is in office today and he has reduced St. Lucia to $5 economics. His economic policy is $5 can block a hole. That is not the economic policy. And you heard from a qualified businessman, a man who was brave enough to leave a permanent job with government and venture into his own business in the person of Herod Stanislas. A proven individual with a track record of performance as an accomplished person for himself and more so as the best parliamentary representative Soufre has ever had. That is the quality of the individual. If I compare Herod with Emma, Emma travaille NIC juste là il était pas pour retire. Si monsieur Herod devait as teacher juste toujours pour retire. Hein? So, les nous garder côté nous sa nou ha fe, ki manye, mwen vle di simplicity. There are things we can do. There are some of us who are brave enough. You look at Mr. Tommy Descartes today, an economist, chief economist in the Ministry of Economic Development. His performance attracted those in the international arena. The Caribbean Development Bank saw his quality, his performance. This is not a government handout job, you know. This was not a political appointment. This is a man who qualified himself, proved himself, and Mr. Descartes was brave enough and sufficiently invested in the well-being of St. Lucia to resign from that job and to come and offer his services to rescue St. Lucia, because we all love St. Lucia. I think it's Labour pretending that they love St. Lucia, and I'll never say they don't love St. Lucia. But don't pretend that you love St. Lucia more than us, because most of us are making more sacrifices than you are making. And I know Mr. Descartes made a big sacrifice. So when you have a real economist like Mr. Descartes in the government, Mr. Descartes is not going to be a $5 block a hole economist. What are we going to do? You see, the Labour Party want you to believe that what we are saying there is not possible. But they want to make everybody in St. Lucia a salesman. But if everybody is a salesman, who do you sell to? Huh? Because that's the economy they want to give the youth. They want to tell the youth, all of you should start a business. So if every young person start a business, who they sell into? Now, I support youth entrepreneurship. I support the youth venturing into business. But you have to create an enabling environment so that the businesses can survive. And so, a UWP government, when we bring all these relief, when we remove the 2.5%, you know how that's going to benefit the youth economy? All these young people who have started businesses, you know how that's going to benefit them? When we reduce the price of fuel, you know how that's going to benefit these young people? And some of these young people who could not afford to go to SAFA can now go to SAFA, do part-time programs also, and get themselves better qualified to manage their small businesses even better. That is what a UWP government is offering. So mwen vle di, yo ma de kolajan kay sorti, le nou atwa gouvernement, sa Kenny Anthony te di nou. In 2015, en 2015, Kenny Anthony te na interview avec Jedia Jean-Pierre. Ek il dit Jedia an bay fête qui pa te jamais fait en Saint-Lucie. Yo allé pour raise l'argent et ben pour prendre loan. Now loan ka vin en different manière. Ou ni treasury bills, ou ni bonds, ek ou ni loans même ou ka just aller prendre loan en banque là. But tout ces loan, just en différentes manières ou ka payer vie, différents latewe ek différents montants pour payer vie. Il dit yo aller et yo pate sa joindre l'argent à sous regional market là pour faire ça qui était nécessaire. Ou savez ça il dit yo, go and put your financial house in order. Now nou ki ja apply pour un ti loan. à dans banque et banque credit union, yo vle sav tout bail about tout. Combien l'argent ou doué, combien l'argent ou ka fait, combien moun pour payer. Et si yo examiner tout ça ou fait, ou pas rete l'argent pour payer loan nan, yo ba ba loan. So le yo examiner cette liste à ba conduite Dr. Kenny Anthony, tout moun dit nous pas prêter ou l'argent because ou ka doué plus passer ou ça payer. Ou savez ça qui fait? Monsieur Chassenay pour mettre cette liste. Les moins gain élection en 2016, ça c'est ça monsieur Chassenay dit. En 3 années, il y a eu un jeu économique. The record speaks for itself. In less than 3 years, the Honorable Alan Chassenay as Prime Minister and Minister of Finance was able to put the economy of St. Lucia on a path of growth, development, and the confidence of the world and the region was rebuilt in the economy of St. Lucia, and we could borrow money as a country once again. Hats off to Mr. Alan Chassenay for his achievement as Minister of Finance. Immediately, and thank God, merci bon Dieu, Monsieur Chassenay entamé économie à dans bonne position. Covid hit la terre. Tout bail shut down. Mais parce que Monsieur Chassenay te a fait un bon travail avec l'économie, cette liste pas fait pièce faux pas. Nous payons toute dette, nous payons tout civil servant, nous manager Covid plus mais passer n'importe pays où évaluer cette liste et puis en la terre. So St. Lucia, when they ask you where will we get the money from, let me tell you, this Labour Party wasted $400 million. Now my the whole la gaspillé. And yo dépensé $400 million à sous St. Jude. Yo te sa bâti un l'hôpital neuf pour $200 million. That means we would have saved $200 million. Secondly, they gave GPH $400 million over the next 40 years. Gouvernement flambeau jadi les nouviers entrés en gouvernement. Premier moun nou ka kouya dans meeting c'est GPH, nous pou vie négocier contract ça. Ek from contract ça les nous négocier li seulement nous ka joindre plus l'argent passé nous besoin pour payer ça affaire. So nous pas venir ici avec do story ou ça. Ça parle l'histoire. How can you give GPH $400 million over the next 40 years and the Prime Minister again saying by the time that contract will end, he will not be around anymore? So, pa mele. Well, flambeau mele ek sa ki kaive Saint Lucie. We will grow the economy. Now, sometimes you hear people talking. Here, we left the Labour Party a plan. 2020-2023 medium-term development strategy. In this medium-term development strategy, it is clear that there was a plan as to how we would grow this economy. And the key result areas we were focused on: agriculture, tourism, infrastructure, healthcare, education, citizen security. So c'est pas l'histoire, là nous dit nous ka promettre ou 7 bail. C'est pas l'histoire nous vinn di ou là ou savent. Nous nan whole livre qui te a préparé pou te deklare in the medium term what we are going to do to fix the economy of St. Lucia. So here are the key performance areas we were talking of. We will increase and improve agricultural output by 36% and export. So where will money come from? You see the banana farmers who have no market for their bananas, a UWP will, while we diversify the bananas that is being produced in St. Lucia, we have to find a market. And when we were building the cruise port in Vieux-Fort, which we are going to revisit, imagine kome bret fig ou te kay sa van bay batima, chaque simen batima ka vini masse moun pou ale. Tourism. To increase tourism arrivals and receipts. I gade kome flight nou japed depi le ba parti an twe an gouvernement. Ek asou chaque tourist ki land St. Lucie, gouvernement ka collect tax of $98. Chaque moun, oui, 18 dollars, mais oui, tiens. $35, ça c'est ça qui kale pour payer airport là. Ou savez ça les ba parti vle fait? Yo vle bay 65 dollars yo vle bay pour bâti airport là. Les $35 ka payer pour airport là. So ki moun ka bay lot $20? C'est pour ça yo du bout airport là, pour bay un lot moun airport là, pour yo collect tout l'argent nous ka collect à sou airport là, même kon GPH ka collect tout l'argent à sou la wad là. Plus vite yo ek mwen ka annoncer bay se moun nan ki ka négocier tek yo. Hot ça fait toute négociation hot. Les partisans flambeau en toué en gouvernement sous bâti airport là ou pas kay joine plus passer $35. En sa yon, ni plus l'argent passé nous besoin pour payer ces fameux pension yo. Pour payer ça affaire encore. Les nous tirer 2.5% là. Économie a kay profiter because les yo te di nous pas sa baisser VAT. Les nous baisser VAT. Ou choye les ba di nous kay perdre en haut $50 millions. Adam moins ki yon l'année demi, gouvernement te ka fait plus l'argent à 12.5% VAT. Parce que ka fait à 15% VAT. So, nous savons ça nous ka fait. Partisan flambeau en bas conduite monsieur Chasné et team là monsieur Chasné mettez ensemble la jordia. Nous ni nom qui qualifié avec madame qui qualifié en toutes différentes manières où ça kachile. Nous kay vie bâti économie St. Lucie. Quitte nous kachile about l'argent kay sorti. Les nous te dou nous kay payer toute dette l'hôpital by tout monde. Est-ce nous pas paye? Nous paye. Les nous te dou nous kay hausse comme transport qui ka mene mamay l'école. Nous mene plus transport pour mene mamay l'école. Les nous dou nous kay me plus l'argent school feeding programme là, nous fait. Et nous fait ça l'économie en ta dans vieux l'état ken ni te quitte you savent. Les nous dou nous pas te kay pay house tax pour 3 l'année, nous fait pour 5 l'année nous pas quitte payer pièce house tax. So, le ou gade, sa partisan flambeau promet, il ja délivré. So, St. Lucia, we have a choice to make. And I know most of you have made your decision. But if you are doubting, the 7 points that we have highlighted to you, I will run through them because I want every St. Lucian to know them by heart. The SOS call to save our St. Lucia. Removal of the 2.5%. Reduce gas prices within 21 days. National health insurance for everyone. removal of tuition fees for SAFA, pension for banana farmers, removal of the dredging fees for everybody in the south of the island, border control, and additional K9 units to help us combat the entrance of illegal firearms and to help deal with the crime situation. We are ready to govern. The United Workers' Party is offering you a clear plan for the success and development of this country, and as a result, we encourage you to encourage your family, your friends, and your loved ones. Verify that your name is on the voters list. And whenever the Prime Minister decides to ring the bell, let us come out in large numbers and elect a government that will work in your interest. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. And now I'd like to open the floor for questions, if you have any.
I have a question for you.
For me? Yes.
I hear that your name will be on a roll in Rosalie. Are you planning on jumping ship?
No, I have no such intention. I am not for sale. Yeah, I'm not for sale.
Even if they give you the mainstream?
No, I'm not looking for such accolades. And there are those who are more deserving than I am. And I'll have my say on what was done with the Grosley playing field and the way it was named and the people who were acknowledged. I'm not saying some of them are not deserving, but sometimes we have to put politics aside and do things based on merit. Yeah. And if I may, I just want to indicate to you that, I think a week ago, the Grosley playing field was reopened, and it was named after Francis Baba Lastic, and there were pictures of some outstanding sports people in Grosley. But I will say to you that the intention is a noble one, but the way it was done was strictly political as opposed to merit, and there are a number of people who deserve to be acknowledged who were not acknowledged. That's all I will say on that for now. Yeah. And do you have any other questions? Yeah. But while we're talking about roads that are being named, there is a road that is well paved for the current parliamentary representative of Grosley, the road out of office. So I would like to, at this juncture, thank our presenters, Mr. Harold Stanislas, Senator Harold Stanislas, Mr. Tommy Descartes, and Mr. Guy Joseph, who spoke on some of the policies already presented by the United Workers' Party. As we know, the United Workers' Party a week ago or so presented to us 7 policies to save our St. Lucia. Of course, that is in addition to some of the policies they have already espoused, and we have seen that the St. Lucia Labour Party has copied 1 or 2, but there are some that are obviously beyond them and will take a United Workers' Party government to implement them. And so I ask St. Lucians to pay attention to what's going on with the United Workers' Party as we unfold the plan to rescue St. Lucia and to bring them a better quality of life in this country and to overall save our St. Lucia. I want at this point to thank those of you who are watching via live stream. Again, I always remember to say a special thank you to those of you in the diaspora. And of course, I would like to invite you on Thursday to join us with Meet the Opposition. On Sunday, we go to Viewfort South in Greece, Viewfort North, that is in Greece, where we'll be having our next Flambeau Live. So again, you can join us there, those of you who can make it, and those of you who always join us on live stream. As you would realize and appreciate by now, that is where you get the truth, that is where you get the enlightenment, and that is where you get the issues that are of interest and concern to you being addressed in a forthright, honest manner. I want to thank you and have a good day.